Hi, I'm Jen. This is Fate 40 and Beyond, a podcast for women in midlife who feel like maybe they're behind or that no one else understands what they're going through. Maybe you're just navigating tough stuff and you need to hear that other people are too. This is a place where we talk about real life. Each episode starts with a tarot card reading when I have a guest, and the conversation unfolds from there. So make sure you check out those episodes. In all of our episodes, we talk about midlife, growth, intuition, emotional honesty, and what it looks like to rebuild a life that really means something to you. Outside of the podcast, I am the owner of Soulful Existence, where I do one-on-one private sessions with tarot card readings, mediumship, past life regression. You can find information about that in the show notes. Today is a mini episode where I discuss something that is meaningful to me. And I pulled a couple of cards earlier. This is a Santa Muerte deck. I will also link that in the show notes. But I pulled the Star and the Judgment card, and I wanted to discuss something that I am finding not only for me is happening quite often, but other people in my life. We get to a certain point in midlife, and all of a sudden, being perfect or having our lives together isn't as important. And I think that is something that we all need to hear every now and then. So let's dig in. Perfectionism isn't about high standards. It's something that a lot of us learned how to do from a survival standpoint. And I think at some point it just stops fitting our needs. The combination of the cards I pulled really says a lot about this desire to stop being as perfect as we thought we needed to be. The Star is all about healing. It's that quiet, honest energy that comes in after we've been cracked open and torn apart and just kind of devastated in life. It's not about fixing ourselves, but more so allowing ourselves to be seen who we are without all the masks, without all the layers. And the Judgment card is more about awareness and the moment that everything clicks for us. The one where we can't unsee things that are not fitting in our lives anymore. It's not necessarily about being judged as it is being seen clearly. When I think about these cards together, it helps me to understand perfection is not something I need to do better at. It's not something I need to work harder at. It feels like something that just needs to be let go, release it. Judgment is all about that moment of realization that this is not working for me anymore, and it's taking more energy to keep it up. And I think that's what it comes down to for a lot of women in midlife. The Star card indicates what's after that. It's all about that healing that happens after we let down the mask of being perfect. I know for myself and many other people, perfectionism is something that we learned early on in life because we wanted the love. We wanted the recognition for certain things. We wanted to feel like we fit into certain areas, whether it was our family, school life, sports. And even if we didn't realize it at the time, it was a coping mechanism, not necessarily who we were. Back then, it helped. Back then, it was what we needed to survive. I remember this feeling of just wanting to be accepted. If I could just say the right thing, if I could just do the right thing, if I could just get the right grades. There was always this expectation that I had of myself so that I felt like I was the person that other people needed me to be. And for a while that worked. For a while, that's what I needed to do. But then I get to this place in my life where perfectionism, it couldn't let me be myself because I was constantly trying to adjust who I was for everyone else. It feels like you're always editing who you are, changing who you are, adjusting how you respond to certain people, holding back in ways. And sooner or later, it didn't feel like I was living my own life anymore. Who was I? I had no idea because I was living for everyone else. It was managing my life, but not necessarily living my life. That type of pressure can just get out of control, and I'm done with it. And I know so many other women who are too. Midlife is usually where that starts to shift. And not because something is wrong necessarily, but because something inside of us is just done and over with. I think we've lived long enough at this point where doing all of those things right still didn't get us the results we wanted in life. But not only that, it just never felt fulfilling inside of us. Even if we have the perfect family, the perfect house, the perfect car, perfect job, I think there's still a disconnect of how fulfilled we feel inside of ourselves if we're searching for that perfection that doesn't exist. It feels like there's something missing in life. It feels like there's a part of yourself that might not be present. And I think that's where the judgment card comes in. I love that because it's that moment where you start to see clearly what patterns, what decisions, what habits, what roles are you playing that just don't fit. It's like all of a sudden someone takes off this filter and you start to see the reality of the world around you. And honestly, that can be really uncomfortable sometimes. It's a blessing and a curse that once you see how these things don't fit into your life anymore, you can never unsee it. It's never going to go back to the way it was. I've heard a lot of people experience this and explain that it feels like squeezing toothpaste out of a tube, and you can never put that toothpaste back in the tube the same way. And because perfectionism is built on external standards, it just never feels right. That judgment card coming up is what shifts us back to like an internal truth, our own guiding light. And I think from a spiritual perspective, this is where things get really interesting. Perfectionism is control. It's just the way it is. And naturally, control is resistance to the natural flow of life. Resistance blocks that flow. If you're thinking about your connection to your intuition, to your higher self, to whatever it is that you feel spiritually, and there's that restriction there, and you can't feel that flow, that connection, it's like getting a hose and gripping it so tight that it cuts that flow off. That's what that perfection does. And just like that hose, if you were to let go, it would allow some to come through. But if you tighten it up again, the flow stops. And I think it's more of like when you let go of that hose and you're more open, it's when you're more open-minded to not having control of everything and that perfection falls away. I don't think there's a single person on this planet who has everything figured out. And yet we all expect to live up to someone's expectations outside of us. When we're open and we allow those other expectations to fall away, we get in touch with ourselves a little easier. And that's that star feeling, the star card. It's all about that softening after you let go. Not trying to force anything, not trying to be perfect at everything. It's just allowing what exists to simply exist. And it goes back to that perfection. If we're trying to be perfect, we are not letting what exists exist. And that's where that mismatch happens. Because perfectionism is always trying to adjust reality into something more acceptable. And alignment doesn't come from that acceptable area. It comes from allowing life to just happen. When we focus more on our intuition and that connection with our higher self, our higher power, whatever that connection might be, life gets simple. It's when we're focused on that perfection that life gets complicated. Our intuition is usually quiet, direct, and clear. It might not be that loud, pointing neon sign showing you where to go in life, but it nudges you. It pushes you in the right direction when you listen. Perfection just kind of clouds that direction. Perfection is deceiving in the sense that you don't necessarily see the nudges. It slows you down. It delays the process. It just makes you question yourself more often than not. And when we're in touch with our intuition and those nudges come into our lives and we listen to them and we post the thing that our intuition is saying, post this, people need to hear it. Or talk to that person and find out how they're doing because they need to hear your story. But that perfectionism stops that. It says, no, that post isn't perfect. That post is going to get laughed at. Or no, that person's going to judge me. They're going to think that I'm weird if I reach out and say hi. It says fix it first. It says change yourself first. It says you are not good enough. Who do you think you are? And perfection is that liar that we all tend to listen to sometimes. And the biggest obstacle is that delay, that questioning becomes our normal. And we never listen to our intuition anymore. That delay becomes our normal. And next thing you know, we aren't listening to our intuition anymore. You might feel stuck, but it's not necessarily because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you're trying to do it perfect. And the truth is, we can sit and we can plan and we can make our notes and we can have graphs and we can have spreadsheets, but that's not where life happens. That's not living. Life is happening in real time. And if we're not listening to our intuition, if we're not doing the things that when we feel that nudge to do something, if we're questioning everything and we're editing everything, life is standing still. There's also something deeper around identity when it comes to perfectionism. Because if you've been a perfectionist for most of your life, that's probably part of who you see yourself as. You might be the responsible one, the one who always does things right, the one that people rely on, the mom friend of the group. And so letting go of that perfectionism doesn't just feel like it's changing a habit. It feels like you're changing who you are. And a lot of times when we strip away parts of our identity, it feels very uncomfortable. But what it actually feels like, what you're actually doing is removing armor. I think back to like those knights in the metal armor and how constricting that must be. Sure, that's what they needed to protect themselves. But taking that off, their range of motion was bigger. They were able to wear whatever clothes they wanted, not just metal suits. That self-expression became an option. When you drop the perfectionism, what you're actually doing is creating space for yourself. Space for honesty, space for creativity, just space for your intuition to come in more clearly. What would it look like if there was space for you to live more authentically as you? The star card is that version of you, the one who has nothing to prove, the one who isn't adjusting constantly just to fit in, the one who's just present. And the judgment card is the moment that you realize you want to live in that place. If we bring in the idea of infinite possibilities, different paths, different timelines, perfectionism really starts to lose its grip. Because perfectionism is built on this idea that there's one right answer, one right path, one right timeline, one right choice. But that's not how life works. Our life is a constant process of shifting through the various different possibilities and finding the next right one. We align through movement in our decisions, in our movement through life, not perfection. It's not getting it right and then moving forward. It's moving forward and learning how to compromise with what life gives you. This is where losing that perfectionism, dropping that perfectionism becomes more of a practice that we put in place. It's not something that you just decide once, but it's something that you choose over and over again. You choose to trust your instinct to post that thing that other people might need to hear. You choose to reach out to someone, even if you're questioning if they want to hear from you. You choose to say what you mean, even if it comes out messy and even if you're still doubting yourself. It's taking the next step, whether you see 1, 2, or the full staircase ahead of you. It's just choosing to take that next step. And I think that's trust in yourself. And it's not a passive trust, just understanding. It's knowing that you have the ability to adapt as you go on. Soft but strong. That's that star energy. Letting go of perfectionism doesn't mean that you don't care anymore. It just means that you're choosing to stop delaying life as it happens and that you're done waiting to feel ready. I think that's the most important thing to pay attention to. If perfectionism is keeping you stuck, you're not being guided by your intuition. That's your fear trying to protect you. I think midlife in general is not about trying to get it right anymore. It's about unlearning all of that. It's about noticing what feels true and noticing what needs to be let go of because it does not feel true. It's about allowing yourself to feel seen without trying to control how it's received. And that's scary. But the thing to remember is people don't connect with perfection, they connect with your truth. And truth is messy sometimes. Truth is unpolished. Truth is real. So if you've been feeling that call to be perfect, that call to be polished, that call to have everything just right before you proceed, all you need to do right now is notice it. Not with judgment, just awareness, just a recognition of maybe that's where the delay in moving forward is coming from. The moment you see that you have a choice is when you can decide to start doing better for yourself. You can start choosing to let go of the perfection. It doesn't have to be huge. It's just choosing to listen to your intuition for the little things first. Life is not waiting for you to get perfect. Life is waiting for you to participate. What would your life look like if you were willing to stop waiting for perfection? What would you do if it didn't have to be perfect? Maybe the season of life isn't about fixing yourself. Maybe it's about seeing who you really are. And then maybe it's about letting yourself live that version freely. You don't need to be perfect to be aligned. You just need to be willing. So I invite you today to just listen to your intuition, listen to those little nudges, and see where it might take you. Maybe trust it. Maybe post the thing that you were thinking about posting without it being perfect. Post the picture of a bad selfie. Do something uncomfortable, but because it feels like you, not because it feels right. And thank you for joining me today. I have the tarot deck I've used in the show notes. You can find all of my socials. You can find all of my websites down there. I am excited for the next full episode. We just recorded it and it's going to be a good one. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow me online on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. I'm trying to get more active there. And I can't wait until next time. Thank you.